Starting off with a black painted cup and doing the epoxy method. We are using 3 different colors from the Posh line from It's Pretty Personal. We're going in with the first line and doing it diagonally across the cup, turning it as I sprinkle it on. I like my first color to meet at the top and bottom of the cup. That way, no matter what side of the cup you're looking at, you get to see all 3 of the colors. When I go in with my second color, I like to give myself about ½ an inch or so in between each color so that I'm able to control how my lines meet up. So I just give myself that little bit of space. Once I go in with my third color, then we will start, I just kind of go back in with each color and kind of dump it down the center again to make sure I don't have any missing spaces and that kind of thing. And then I go in with my fingers with each color and I sprinkle them in a little bit one by one. In between the blue and the purple, I'll use a little bit of blue, a little bit of purple. In between the purple and the green, I will use a little bit of green, a little bit of purple, just so they kind of mix up a little bit and give it that somewhat of an ombre effect. It's not going to matter too much. I am not fancy. I did not go get my parchment paper. I did not go get my wax paper. I just straight up rolled it in some damn regular homework paper. So just flatten it out. Now I'm taking the fat of my thumb there and I just kind of push it down and give myself a little rim job there. It just pushes it down enough that I'm not going to have a ton of crappy sanding to do that makes it a pain in the ass. And then I just tap it a little bit and make sure I don't have any pieces sticking up. Once that has cured in about 5 hours or so, I do seal it with something, Rust-Oleum 2 times clear, whatever you choose. Okay, we're going to need to break up our epoxy. I have mixed a total of like maybe 50 milliliters, give or take just a little bit. I'm using 4 different medicine cups that I am putting about 10 milliliters of epoxy into each cup. And then I will apply the rest of my epoxy, or as much as you need, onto the cup. Now, once you have your epoxy applied, we are going to let this baby spin. Don't forget to pop your bubbles. I didn't show that. We're going to let it spin for about 20 minutes. Our epoxy sitting in our measuring cups is just going to sit there as well. Once it's 20 minutes is up, we're going to go in with our Alumilite dye. I used the black. I did 1 drop into my little cup. And these are Ghost Pigments from It's Pretty Personal. They no longer carry these. So it's a mica powder that is white and has a little bit of a color shift to it, but once you put it on a black base, the color is like bam. They are amazing. I wish they still carried them. Anyways, so here, this part of the video is going to be a little bit longer because I'm not going to speed it up because I want you guys to be able to see kind of exactly how I do it. So each color I am going to put on top of the matching color of glitter. Green's going to go on green, purple's going to go on purple, and blue is going to go on blue. I try to get my lines on, and I'm just using a popsicle stick. We use whatever you want. I try to get my lines to go on in the same direction as my glitter line is going. And I try to do it in a manner so that I'm not like, I don't get a lot of tails on the end of my micas. Does that make sense? Tails. I don't know what else to call them. I just like the lines to be straight up and down. You'll see why here in a few minutes. So we're going to repeat this process with each color. My 9-year-old daughter would tell me that this is so satisfying to watch. It is somewhat satisfying. I agree. All right, at this point I am going to take a clean popsicle stick and I am going to run it right down the center of each color. I use the same popsicle stick for all colors. If there gets a glob on the end of it, I just wipe it off and keep using it. So what I'm doing is I'm basically running down through each line that I've already put on the cup. I'm just kind of fanning it out and making it streaky up and down the thing. Try to keep all of my strokes matching so that everything is kind of a nice, smooth, even flow. Everything is kind of the same direction, that kind of thing. So we're going to do this through each color. I like to go right down the original lines of the color to help break it up, stretch it out. You know, that's the nice thing with these micas. And remember, our epoxy's been sitting up for 20 minutes now. By this point, it's probably even closer to 30. So our inks are not going, or our micas, sorry, are not going to be moving too much unless we move it for it. Yeah, you get what I mean. So anyways, we're going to keep stretching out each color, breaking up each color. I really like to make sure that I don't have any of those little funky tails I was talking about. If I do, I just run through it a few times and make sure I stretch it out straight so that everything is flowing and I don't have any weird spots that are kind of cutting sideways over into just breaking up my fancy little pattern here. So I'm going to go ahead and shut up for a few minutes and you can watch this whole process through every color. Now we are going in with our black. You really want to be careful when you go in with your black because it can totally take over faster than you think. So when you're doing this and you think to yourself, I should stop, you should definitely stop. So, and you can always add, it's harder to take away. So just keep that in mind. Black takes over very easily. Go in lightly, start with a few. If you want to add more, but definitely take your time. We're going to do the same process with the black as we did the colors, and we're just going to go in trying to match our lines so that they keep that same flowing motion as the micas did. And I'm just going to go ahead and let you continue watching for a minute. Once you have the amount of black that you're happy with, we're going to go through and do the same thing that we did with each of our color micas, and we are just going to run right up and down the center of each line with a popsicle stick. I am using the same one. I did wipe it off so that I wasn't adding more black while doing this. I was just spreading out my existing black. So we're just going to go through trying to make sure we stay in that same motion, same direction, same flow that we have with all of our colors until you're happy with it. And I'll let you watch. So I'm not really showing it on camera, but you can kind of see my popsicle stick disappearing when I stop stroking and I have that little break there that you just saw. What I'm doing is I'm wiping off my stick so that I'm not getting a collection of black gunk, so I'm not spreading more black around. I'm just kind of spreading out to the black that I already have, if that makes sense. So once I get a little bit on my popsicle stick, I just wipe it off so that I can continue with what's just on my cup. Now we're starting to get to the point of, okay, it's fine. You can leave it alone now. But then there's those people who are just like, oh, that line can have one more swipe through it. Oh, look, this one can have one more swipe through it. And you'll never stop. But we're calling this good. Voila, here we are. So I'm going to take you down. I'm going to let you get a little closer to this so you can kind of see it, why it's spinning and everything is nice and fresh. I will go over this with my embossing gun to pop any bubbles that I may have in my epoxy. And then I am just going to let it spin until it cures. I will likely have to do one more layer of epoxy and then this cup will be done. You could go in with your decal after this though. It's usually smooth enough that you'll be able to apply anything you need, but like the rims, and you'll have a couple spots that poke out a little bit. So there we have it.